This is gonna be an exciting live stream. We have lots to go through. I want to talk about anime, and because I just came out of the cinema and I watched a really good anime film. I want to talk about the Psychedelic Actualization Community, which is starting. Wow! Then this is going to be exciting. If you want to be among the founding members and get like a special offer, you can click the link in the video description and book a call with me so we can talk about that. It's only going to be for the first 5 people who join, that there's going to be a special offer to get kind of like the pilot of the group going, and there's lots of exciting stuff, like a little bit of exclusive content, weekly live calls and coaching. We'll talk more about that. We have also lots of food to get through. I have a salad. I have fresh zucchini. I have cacao nibs. Brilliant, those ones. Brilliant. Just like as a snack, I'll have to see that I don't eat too many of those because it's late in the evening here. Chaga tea. I'm equipped for this live stream. What else? Oh, and close-mindedness. Holy schmoly. I just had an experience with close-mindedness and meeting close-mindedness. It was incredible. It made me want to throw up, and that's an interesting reaction that I noticed within my body. But first, let's start with a song. A song to Ganesh, for new beginnings. Like the community. Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha Sharanam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha Sharanam. Sharanam, Ganesha Sharanam. 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 Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha Sharanam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha Sharanam. Sharanam, Ganesha Sharanam. Sharanam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha. The elephant god for new beginnings, for power, for confidence to break through all of the illusions, all of the challenges and struggles that we face on our journey towards truth and towards enlightenment and towards love. Kuzan, hey, good to see you here. Yes, finally, so excited for this community. Yeah, man, I am excited. I'm so excited about this. I want to start with this now. So, the Psychedelic Actualization Community is going to be starting. Not much to say about it. It's just going to be awesome. Like, imagine a group of like-minded people coming together to integrate their psychedelic experiences. This is going to be the centerpiece of this community. It's going to be psychedelic integration. But as I like to say a lot of times, is psychedelic integration is nothing separate from life. your life is your psychedelic integration. And what I see in the community is that many people, and myself included nowadays and even in the past, are not integrating their psychedelic experiences to the extent that they could. They're not fulfilling their full potential, not actualizing their vision, maybe not even having a direction in life. We're not really knowing where to go, not really knowing how to let go of old habits or to walk through the pressures and expectations of society and culture and kind of like stay true to yourself, get to know who you truly are, and then walk that, express that authentic self of yours in everything you do, in all of your relations, in your work, in each and every moment of your life. So the community is a place where we can come together and where we can support each other on that journey, meeting weekly, holding each other accountable, sharing valuable resources, right? There's going to be exclusive content. There's going to be workshops around authentic relating. What does it mean to get into contact, be a little bit vulnerable in a space that is confidential and safe and supportive and non-judgmental? Non-judgmental is a key word which we're going to come to later on in the stream regarding close-mindedness. So we'll just foster a space of openness, of connection, right? And of actually transforming our psychedelic insights or these lofty spiritual ideas that we have or that we've read about into lasting change and real transformation. This is what it's going to be about. And I am just as much a teacher as a student. I want to learn from you as well. That's my selfish desire for opening this community. It's not about me, it's about us getting into contact. Really, I want to be in the position of a student, because I know that whoever resonates with that community, whoever resonates with my energy, are people that I want to spend time with. I want to develop and cultivate connections with, and I want to learn from. So you can learn from me, and I can learn from you. And it's this cycle of giving and receiving, of you giving yourself also to that cause, to that community, to that higher vision of you and of everybody who is there. It's going to be awesome. Hey, Kali, good to see you. Always happy to see you here in the live streams. Yeah, what else? I think the community just takes our connection way deeper. Like, instead of me just being here in front of the camera and you being on the other side in the chat, and we can communicate through the live streams, which is amazing, it's going to be face to face. First, it's going to be in Zoom, right? It's not going to be real life, but also I can imagine hosting events and coming to visit people who get into the deeper engagement of the community leaderboard and fun games. There's going to be some challenges that we're going to go through, and I can imagine meeting up in person as well with a group of very deep connected psychedelic enthusiasts, right? It's going to be awesome. Like, I am so excited about this, and I'm happy to share more about it in the coming days and weeks. Be prepared for the launch and for hearing more about it here on the channel, on the community posts, and the shorts, in the videos. Yeah, and as I said, if you want to be among the founding members and get a humongous discount, or even participate in creating this community and helping me build it up from the ground up, then you can book the call, first link in the video description, so we can have a chat about this and communicate on how that's going to be fitting in your life and in your vision and how it can support you on your journey. So that's the first thing. The second thing I'm really excited about is also next Friday I will publish my probably best work yet. It's not gonna be, it's a little bit of a scripted video. It's one of the first times I'm doing like a scripted presentation, but it's gonna be a very deep and detailed and nuanced presentation about psychedelics. And well, this is gonna be awesome, because it's gonna be called Psychedelics Are and embrace it's not a magic pill. And it will go deep into the paradox of psychedelic work. We'll talk about why psychedelics could be seen as a magic pill and how they actually act like almost like a magic pill at times. And we'll also talk about how at other times it seems like psychedelics are not a magic pill at all. Maybe even the opposite. For some they can do more damage and more harm than they do good. So, and then we'll transcend this black and white perspective of psychedelics are good or psychedelics are bad, they're a magic pill or they're not a magic pill, and we'll resolve and explore that paradox of real with this fake, reality with this illusion. This is going to be a quote, nice transition into the anime show that I just watched. I'll remember that. And transcend and see that we can embrace the paradox, that they are at the same time a magic pill and not a magic pill. And that maybe we can even transcend our intention for going into psychedelic space and say, maybe I'm not even searching for anything. Maybe there is no need for a magic pill. Maybe I don't even want a magic pill in my life because I'm not seeking anything anymore, because everything is already whole and completed and perfected. But also at the same time it's not. It's a continuous emergence and becoming in the realm of this physical, what we call maybe like Maya or illusion, right? So also the paradox between being and becoming. And and how all that relates to our spiritual practice, how psychedelic work can actually be almost like a spiritual practice, in the sense that we practice how to die, we practice selflessness, especially for the area of self-realization. We get really deep into the topic of how spirituality and psychedelic practice are deeply, deeply connected, and talk a little bit about this very deep, interesting, nuanced topic of enlightenment and self-realization. Wow, so excited about this, so excited about sharing this with you. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely awesome. And so that was all my excitement. Now I'll let it go. But I just had to get that off my chest because I'm working on this 24/7. You know, I actually have a problem. I'm a little bit fell into workaholic and I became a little bit of a workaholic because I can't stop working anymore because it's so fun to create all these things to come and share, and it's like it's so fulfilling. But at the same time, I noticed that I really want to balance it out with other passions, with taking my mind off from this project and from work and actually being out in nature or socializing with people. Sometimes I can forget socializing. But yeah. Actually, this week I went out socializing a bit. Carly is saying, hello everyone, hello, lovely to see you. Yes, okay. By the way, I have a problem in the context of your presentation. Okay. I have started therapy, and my therapist told me I have predisposition to psychosis. I'd planned my life around achieving enlightenment through psychedelics, and now I feel that got stolen from me. Should I just go ahead and do psychedelics anyways? Carefully, maybe. Okay. That's a tough question, which I do not feel comfortable or qualified to answer. This is going to be my first foundation. So anything I say, please do not take this into consideration. I'll just share my thoughts carefully as I feel into this, but I'm not qualified to talk about this. I'm not really... I do have a little bit of I read a little bit about psychology and went into this field, but I have no medical background, right? I am not a therapist, and I do not work with or advise people who are close to this area of psychosis. It's not my area of expertise. So I can't really talk to your situation. I don't even know what really it means to have a predisposition to psychosis. I don't even really know what psychosis means. It's a very interesting term as well. If you're open, you can share a little bit about what it means for you and how you feel about that word, psychosis. But generally, in our medicalization field and in the more like scientific field of psychedelic research that I have listened to or participated in, there is the general tendency to say that if there is a predisposition towards psychosis, first of all, yes, very, very carefully, or second of all, don't explore psychedelics at all. And it's a tough line, because yeah, it's a very tough line. I can't really speak to it, because maybe there's healing potential, but maybe the risk and the danger is bigger than the potential for healing or for self-realization. So, but if you say in your phrasing, right, that you planned your life around achieving enlightenment through psychedelics, and that got stolen from you, I would say very careful with the language right there, because when you say something gets stolen from you, then you put the authority into the hands of another, right? And sometimes that's rightfully so, because a therapist or a psychologist might have a little bit more knowledge and information around this field of mental health. But ultimately, I would say the authority lies always within yourself, and the responsibility as well. So the therapist can give you a perspective and his feeling and intuition and opinion to say, like, okay, please be very careful and considerate when using psychedelics, or maybe he will even advise you not to take them. But it's on you to either take that on or not. So that decision cannot be taken away from you by your therapist. The decision and the responsibilities lies with you. There's no authority in the world, not the law and not a therapist, that can tell you what to do. That's my humble opinion. But I wouldn't completely neglect that perspective, right? Maybe if you feel strongly about your calling to work towards self-realization and enlightenment with psychedelics, I would not even say through psychedelics, but in support with psychedelics, I'll come to that in a bit, then seek out different therapists, connect with different people, maybe even, and I recognize that it might be difficult to reach out to some, or difficult to connect to some, but go into the psychedelic field. Maybe go and talk to a psychologist or therapist that is familiar with psychedelic work, maybe that is even offering therapeutic psilocybin sessions, right? It's a bit difficult to get into the therapy field and actually get provided for in psychedelic therapy. And even there in the field, nothing is really perfected. It's just at the very start of its journey. But talk to these people and get more perspective and opinions that then you can take into consideration for then to come back to your own responsibility and authority to make a decision for yourself. But yeah, as I said, very risky territory. I would not recommend anything. My feeling is, I would even also say, like, okay, if there's a real predisposition, I don't even know what that means, as I said, but if there is a tendency towards what we might call or label mental illness, defined by the DSM, right, by some humans, which is very interesting. then I also have the tendency to say like, okay, either very carefully or not at all. Take a break. And also regarding your point of achieving enlightenment and self-realization through psychedelics, I don't know if you meant it that way, but I have come to the point in my journey. I'm also feeling strongly that I would love to try to pursue that path of awakening with psychedelics as a support and as these temporary peak experiences, but not as the centerpiece of my spiritual life, not as the centerpiece of my practice. It is a powerful practice, but I feel like it cannot be the centerpiece. The centerpiece has to be your meditation. It has to be developing your understanding. It has to be your day-to-day practice. Also, wonderful perspectives in that Zen Buddhism. I'm reading Appreciate Your Life, the essence of Zen practice at the moment. And it's a wonderful reminder to see and recognize the beauty of the ordinary, and don't overestimate the peak experiences of psychedelics, but also don't underestimate the challenge of achieving more stable plateau experiences in your state of consciousness. So not to depend on these peaks for your practice or even for your recognition of spiritual realization. And also, I love the Zen approach. I'll read you something from this book that transcends even the notion or the distinction between practice and realization. I'll go into that in my presentation, the Magic Pill presentation that's going to be published on Friday this week as well, where we and it's very difficult, right, to dissolve the distinction between realization and practice. Here it says, Dogen Zenji says that because our life is this, we attain realization. We do not practice in order to attain realization. In fact, when we practice, we do not need to expect anything. Why not? Because everything is already here. Our life is the wisdom. Our practice is this realization. So when we truly do Zazen, there is no distinction between practice and realization. So this is it, and then we can just appreciate the experience of our consciousness, of what is arising within our perceptual field. Right? He says, please enjoy this wonderful life. Let's enjoy it together, maybe in our community. Appreciate the world of just this. Just this. There's nothing extra. Genuinely appreciate your life as the most precious treasure and take good care of it. That's it. It's a whole summary of our life's mission. So then also psychedelic practice is not a means to an end. It's not that through psychedelics we come to realization, or that we should expect that the psychedelic is going to bring us there. Because the only thing it can do is to help us remember and remind ourselves that it is already here. It is already complete. Life is already beautiful without the psychedelics. Every state of consciousness is worth appreciating. So, and then obviously there's going to be a contextualization and still distinctions that are useful for us if we want to function in culture and society and in our shared perception of a stable illusion of consciousness, where we say, okay, there is something like a psychosis or something, or states of consciousness that are not useful, which we don't know how to handle really in our society and in our culture, because at times it may seem like, or it may be the case, that these states of consciousness are not supportive to live a functioning life. And if that life that you are living is not functional anymore for our culture, it's not serving anybody, and in the worst case, it's even harming somebody, yourself, your family, your friends, your surroundings, your community, your culture, your city, then that's a humanly perceived biased judgment. And rightfully so, I would say, on the relative level. Because in the ultimate, we can even appreciate and enjoy the states of psychosis, but on the relative level, to have a healthy, functioning society and culture, we gotta make these distinctions. So I have no clue where I was going with this. But this is what I wanted to say regarding the notion of achieving enlightenment through psychedelics. I also do believe that there is no such thing as achieving realization or enlightenment. It's the deeper I go in this journey, the more everything is just like it gets just blurred. And I get almost very careful with my words, or like I almost can't speak anymore, because each and every word has so many is springing up so many streams of thought on why that word might not be fitting, how its history has been used in our culture and in its use, and how that relates to this like ultimate realization of enlightenment. So even things like achieving something through something is very, I would be very careful with that notion. And also the notion that something can be stolen from us, which is not true, like, but also true at the same time. See, so and then words like psychosis or describing states of consciousness that are not supportive for our culture and our society. So that's interesting. I can't give you any advice. As I said, all these are just thoughts that are coming up for me. And hopefully I haven't given you any advice here, because I don't feel qualified to do so, on where to go with your psychedelic use, especially if you mention this and a notion from your therapist. So that's it. And you were adding, if I were to treat carefully to test and see if I go crazy or not, what dose would I start with for shrooms? As I said, if you take the decision, start low. Start with 0.1 gram and then work your way up. Start with a microdose and slowly work your way up. And also leave lots of space for integration in between experiments or journeys. And be aware and responsible of your use and the consequence of going crazy, whatever that even means, right? But also I have really come to a deep recognition within the reality of mental illness. It's a very interesting field. I haven't really understood it, but back then, like when I was 16, at the beginning of my journey, I was very much against labeling states of consciousness, and I was like, mental health issues do not exist. Like, there is no depression, there is no schizophrenia, there's no anxiety, it's all just a label. But now, as I've come to realize over the years, or just my observations with other people and even people close to me in my family who are experiencing these symptoms of what we might describe as depression or schizophrenia or anxiety or addiction, I've come to more like an appreciation of these labels as well, and also a little bit of a hopelessness that is arising within me on how to deal or help or support these people. Arten, Sie, good morning, day, evening. Hello, my dear friend. I never got your name. It's Virgo. 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 Vergo. Also, actually, my another name I go by is Philip. So it's Philip Virgo Hounhorst. Yeah, okay, that was a rant about mental health. Let's eat some. So good. Pure cacao. Wow. Very intense. So Arten is asking, what do you think about semen retention? Do you think that it's really a spiritual or awakening experience? If you feel open, you can specify the semen retention, because there's many different approaches towards semen retention. And semen retention, I would say, well, again, a lot of layers that are coming up. Because, you know, there's all these approaches. Some people are saying, oh, never ever spread your semen ever in your life. And that's all like very extreme, no fap, semen retention kind of area. But then there's also more nuanced approaches towards saying, okay, only come after a couple hours, or only like in sexual intercourse, or just once a month. But also, yeah, there's so many different approaches. Some say it's healthy to ejaculate at times, get rid of your semen, get it out of your system. Then there's the nuances of ejaculation. You can also just ejaculate your semen. I don't know if that counts under semen retention, if you are coming, but you are directing that come inside of your being. And that's what I'm practicing mostly. So, regarding the part of your question that do you think it's really a spiritual or awakening experience, I do believe there's truly, first of all, everything is a spiritual experience. It's just coming back to the ultimate absolute appreciation of every state of consciousness. I do not believe that there is anything as not a spiritual experience. Because for me, everything is a spiritual experience. Everything is a spiritual experience at its core. Then there's our layers of perception on top of that, our ignorance, our cloud of judgment that is making some experiences seem like they are better or worse than any other experience. So everything seems to be a spiritual experience. But then there's experiences that seem to be, as we could say, closer to truth, closer to awakening, closer to liberation, closer, to reality, to truth. And some that seem further away on the spectrum and that are more evil or devilish, or I don't know how to say, evil. Far away from truth, more into falsehood. And then there definitely is so much literature around utilizing semen and the sexual experience and the whole sexual intercourse, not just with other people, but also with yourself, to reach these what we might call higher states of consciousness, or even like complete ecstasy or bliss. I haven't practiced it too much. I would love to get into it further, especially in Taoism. This whole like Mantak Chia kind of thing. They have a whole system worked out regarding deeper and deeper states of orgasm, right? So you can build up, and you can, what most men at least experience, and also most women, but I can just speak for men right now, is just like the first layer of orgasm of like you get horny, you have a sexual intercourse, or you're ejaculating, and then you're coming, and that's it, and you're done. But that's just like, that's the first level of the orgasm and of bliss of orgasm that's possible. And then there's deeper layers of it, and as I've said, I've read about it like a long time ago. I haven't retained that much information from it, but then there's deeper levels of orgasm that we can reach, which then get closer to these like true awakening, blissful, ecstatic, whole body orgasm experiences, which we can experience. And from my understanding, that works especially through the ejaculation. So there's a tactic, either you can use your hands to ejaculate if you press at a certain point, or you can also train that muscle to actually, in the moment when you're about to come, to actually then spread that semen side and continue with your practice and get to these deeper layers. And I do prefer not coming, you know, but not all the time. Like at times I like to come. And semen retention, then there's the whole area of pornography, of masturbation that falls into this, and the distinction between that and is it good, is it bad, and the whole area of sexual intercourse, and is that good or is it bad. And I would say both can be super beautiful experiences for awakening and for what we might call spiritual practice. What I've observed in my experiences, which are very limited, is that the intention behind it counts for me in the experience itself. So when I tell myself the story, it's all about stories in our head, I guess. And it's many people have many strong beliefs and stories around this topic, apparently. Many spiritual traditions even do. But for me, just like from a pleasure perspective, and me, just like from the foundation and intention of me wanting to enjoy my life to the best of my ability and to its fullest, I have observed that when I take on and tell myself the story that pornography, or even like especially masturbation, is not good, then I judge me and I fall into doing it. And then I kind of know that I don't want to do it because I tell myself the story that it's bad. And and then I do it, and then there's a shame around it. And I regret doing it. And I did it again because it's not good, because ideally I should be retaining my semen. That makes me feel bad and not enjoy my life as much, because I'm not in integrity with my stories, with my values of what I tell myself is important or correct. But then when I indulge in masturbation in a very conscious way, almost like a spiritual ritual, and I see it as making love to myself and to life and to honor this body and its beautiful sensations that are arising at times in the moment. And then it's like, and I have a beautiful, conscious, present experience either with myself, or it also goes for my partner or another human being. Then, wow, what a beautiful experience. I enjoy my life even more. And I can appreciate this experience because there was a conscious intention behind it. Then it feels closer to truth, closer to my alignment. So a lot of it is the intention. Same for sexual intercourse with another. If you just want to have like a quick, I don't know, release of your tension within yourself, and then you use another human body for that. Oof, I haven't tried that, but that seems to be like I would imagine if I would do it that I would feel misaligned. I would feel like, oh, why did I do that? And now there's another like whole entity which I am exchanging energy with. So that's a layer that's coming on top of that. And I might agree with some spiritual teachings and traditions who say careful with that, because that's a lot of energy to take on. Almost like some people, some say you to take on karma even from the other if you exchange in such an intimate way. But also then if there is a conscious engagement based on love and intention and awareness, to even with the core intention to just experience a sensation of union, and come to this place of actually merging with one another to just be in this sacred space of unity. Wow, that's incredible. Like that's I guess one of the more intense ecstatic experiences which we can have. And ecstasy in that sense, it literally means, the word ecstasy means to be outside of oneself. And I would say that's an awakening experience. It gets closer to this sensation of selflessness, because we are forgetting ourselves as we merge with the other in this divine union through intimacy, tantric ritual, and sexual intercourse. So yeah, but in that intercourse there is not necessarily a need to spread your semen, because that would end the experience, or usually. And there's people who keep going, but that, yeah, then there's these certain perspectives on it. But usually to reach these just like insane levels of orgasm, there is a certain practice of semen retention included in that practice. Yeah. So, and I am, personally, so that's kind of like a little rant around it. So I don't know if semen retention is a spiritual experience. Very deep question, you know. But yeah, that's how I personally feel and approach this. And I go through phases. Like I made a video like years ago where I reported back from my experience of doing no fap or semen retention, complete abstinence of everything. Also sexual intercourse for 1 year. I think it was over a year that I did it. And I felt good. Like I felt fantastic. But I went back to it, to masturbation and sexual intercourse. And I deeply enjoy it. And yeah, so, but with the nuances of this, like intention and the stories you're telling yourself about it. If you're interested in that topic, I would recommend research more, because I haven't researched too much about it, but I'm very curious about it. Research and go see what the Taoist masters about it say, some tantric traditions. Just to clarify on a side note, tantra does not mean semen retention or sexual intercourse. Tantra, and it's just like, it's such a more wide variety of spiritual practice and a stream of spiritual thought which goes far, 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 far beyond just sexuality, because it can get the picture can get painted that tantra and spiritual sexual intercourse are just like so close to each other and related, but tantra is much more than that, much more. But yeah, that's about it. Arten's name. A beautiful name, nice to know your name, Virgo. Yeah, thank you. Is Arten or Artens your name? Like, just to clarify so I can pronounce it properly. Artine? How's it pronounced? I'm bad at pronouncing names, especially when you're here in the chat. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Kali is saying, I think I will have to accept my fate. Thanks for your continuous support anyways, always. Slushy is here. Hello, good to see you. What are you eating today? Show us. I am eating, I don't know if you can see, a beautiful salad with cucumber and grapes and tomato and pepper and baby spinach and some other salad and some onions. And my dressing is just pure orange as a dressing. Oh, it's so good. Mmm. Pure raw zucchini. It's so good. It's steamed. Just steamed zucchini. It's so good. You don't need to spice it up with anything. There's no salt, no spices on there. It's just pure zucchini. Mmm. I have like a whole bunch here. So good. Yeah, and I have these cacao nibs, which are just pure cacao. There's cacao in there, but you can even eat the shell. And I have some chaga tea, chaga mushroom. Yeah, that's about it. Good food. Good food. Artin is your name. Artin, okay. It's a Persian name. Wow. What does it mean? Curious if you know. But thanks for sharing, Artin. DMT Dreams. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Artin is saying, so you say it's all about the intentions and awareness, but not about semen retention. That's my current approach. For the other side of it is like, I don't know, is my answer. If it's good or bad or helpful or not helpful. Also depends on what you want out of life. Maybe some sadhus are right and they're not engaging in anything that has to do with semen or sexuality or intercourse, because it seems to be helping their enlightenment. But then you see all these many masters and what we might call teachers, spiritual teachers, gurus, that abuse their students sexually because it seems like they haven't worked through their karma or they haven't fulfilled that desire in their life. And then there's all these like horrible stories that you hear of the so-called enlightened masters abusing their female students. And that's also just stories, but it's a lot of stories, you know, that are coming up with even very famous teachers nowadays. And I think it's been the case for some that are teaching semen retention, and then they can't even keep it going. You've searched for it but didn't find any meaning for your name. That's good. That makes it even more mysterious and unique. I like it. Kali's saying, are salads like this enough to keep you full? I'm always hungry. What about protein? Yeah. If I eat only the salad, usually in conjunction with zucchini or some other vegetable, I need like humongous amounts, like not just a plate like I have here, but like humongous amounts of it, like huge bowls of salad, like so many, like so much. And then it does provide a certain sense of fullness, but it digests very fast, and then I'm hungry again after an hour or two. So yeah, to keep myself full, I usually I spread in something like sweet potato, to keep myself full. That fills me up a lot. And also I do for the protein. Yeah, I'm not consuming too much protein. This like medical medium guy, he's saying we don't need that much protein. There's enough protein in the fruits and vegetables that we're eating, but I'm not sure how true I think that is. I'm eating fish at the moment at times, so through fish I get protein. I don't eat too much fish, but at times. What else do I eat? Yeah, Yeah, that's basically it. I just eat more when I do salads or vegetables or fruits. Like I eat humongous amounts, like 2-3 liters of smoothies in the morning. Humongous amounts. It's quite expensive actually. So, by the way, if you have any questions, keep them going, keep them coming. Otherwise, I'm gonna actually get into my story. For everybody who just joined, like call to action, either skip back to the beginning of the live stream where I shared a lot about a community, a psychedelic actualization community platform, which is gonna be launching very, very soon, probably next week. And there's a link in the video description, the first one, where you can book a call with me. And we can talk about, I'm looking for 5 founding members of the psychedelic actualization community, which are going to get a humongously reduced price for it and are going to be kind of like the cornerstone of this community. It's going to be weekly live coaching calls where we can come together in a space, not just like this, you writing comments and me answering, but actually face to face, well, through Zoom online. But we meet up weekly and we do our work of self-actualization and self-realization together. So excited about this. And also look out for next Friday's video. I'm gonna release a complete psychedelic course, online course for free. It's a 3-hour presentation about the paradox of psychedelic work and how that relates to our spiritual practice. I thought about including it just in the community, but I was like, this is such a good presentation. I just want to present it to everybody. I want to give it out for free and do not put anything behind a paywall. But yeah, the live trips may go behind the inside of the community only because YouTube is not really allowing me to upload them any further. Because they demonetized the channel and got a few strikes and a few videos deleted, and it's a bit difficult. There might be a risk of me losing the channel. That's also great why I'm starting the community. Artin is saying, how can we join the community? There's one link in the video description, the first one, where you can book a call. I'm not inviting everybody into the community, so I want it to be a community space with really like resonant, like-minded people. Not everybody can just join. And it's not fully launched yet. It's going to launch this week, so next week. Today is Sunday, I guess. Book a call through that link. If it's a free one-on-one call with me where we hop onto a call and see if we resonate with each other and if we feel the resonance and we're wanting to come together in the space of the community. Then there's going to be a page which I'm going to share with you through which you can actually join the community. And then there's going to be weekly calls and exclusive content and just like a very intimate circle, I would say, that I plan to engage in, kind of like the inner circle of the psychedelic actualization community, where we can just support each other on our path. So that's how you can join. Book a call, and then I'll share the link with you privately after we had a conversation and we see that it's a really good fit if we both feel that resonance. So yeah, that's about that. Also, okay, so many questions. Nano, hello. It's saying the Persian name Artin means righteous, pure, or holy. It is also used as a surname. Explanation: Artin is a Persian name that is also used in Armenia. Wow, how did you find that out? Great, thank you for sharing. Artin is saying, what I think is no one ever died or took any actual physical harm of not having sex. So I look at it as a self-disciplinary tool. For example, you say, I'll go 3 months without any sexual activity. I think there's great value in that. I've found great value in that, of basically you saying you're not directed by your human desires and little human sensations. and you're not directed to seek for validation or sex or pleasure by just like desires that are rising within you. So it's a wonderful practice for self-discipline, absolutely, and to stay present with the sensations and actually feel them. And that's also wonderful practice when I'm not like masturbating or I do semen retention. Sometimes there's sexual energy coming up, and then my practice becomes just fully experiencing that, not neglecting it, not pushing it away or suppressing it, but actually, and also then not releasing it or following through on it, but just like when I see a beautiful woman or like whatever, it's like I feel this energy, and then it's a practice to just like let it run through your body, let it energize you, this beautiful, like powerful energy that we have, and then that's it, and it energizes you in your work, in your day, and definitely serves as a self-disciplinary tool. And then you can go month or years. I did a year, and it was a very valuable experience for sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure about this. Like, okay, I will never ever do that again. And that's you gotta decide for yourself, right? Gully saying, is this way of eating diet consciously chosen by you? If so, why? I'm experimenting. I'm still very much in experimentation. For example, something I'm experimenting now for a couple months with, and it feels really good, is no gluten, no dairy, no eggs, and no industrial sugar. And also no alcohol. But alcohol I'm not really interested in. But that's kind of like 5 things, or that were very much present in my life. Sometimes more subtly so, but lots of pasta, lots of bread that I ate. And then on top of the bread, there's like some kind of jam and peanut butter. Or the pasta and many, many things in our life. Like even like pre-packaged food. A lot of pre-packaged food is just packed with sugar. Like, what is going on? So because I'm sick at the moment, I looked more into diet. So it's consciously chosen. I went away from these things. I'm more towards, like, it's just a tendency, but I try to keep it at the moment. I've heard in a presentation it's very wonderful, but very difficult to do, especially, very difficult. That ideally, I would love to go towards a diet that is regional and seasonal fruit, or regional and seasonal food in general. So see what is growing in your area in this specific season, and then keep it as raw and unprocessed as possible, basically. Regional and seasonal, and then to a certain extent you can process it. But what I felt is that lots of fresh fruits and vegetables are very much energizing me. And then now I'm experimenting with meat. I have been vegan or followed kind of like a vegan diet for a couple years now, and vegetarian much longer. But now I'm experimenting with fish and meat again. And there's also some interesting nuances with that on how to get actually enough vitamins. Like my iron and my B12, it was non-existent. Even though I did take supplements. So yeah, very interesting field. Gluten, it might not be bad, but it's just on my personal experience. I guess everyone's eating habits, they're gonna be individualized to your specific body. I found that not one diet fits for everybody. Like, it's impossible. We're just too different in our bodies. But when I consume gluten, I feel in my body, I feel it, especially as I raise in my awareness and consciousness through my practice, that I feel very full, but also I feel very tired. Like eating just fruits and vegetables and potatoes makes me more awake, more energized, more present and aware. When I eat gluten, I feel very heavy. I feel very tired. Like after a big portion of pasta, I'm always just like almost like near coma state, wanting to take a nap or whatever. And even sometimes after breakfast, after eating bread at breakfast, I feel full. I feel tired. I feel a little bit like slow and sluggish. I can't even think clearly anymore. Then the eggs, I loved to eat eggs in the past when I got out of the vegan kind of thing. And I ate lots of eggs, but now I'm experimenting to leave them behind because of the bacteria. So I might have, that's just a theory, but I might have a lot of bacteria and viruses within me. And there seems to be a theory that eggs and dairy are feeding them. So I keep those out for now. But yeah, fruits and vegetables, bunch of them. Like fruits make me feel so good in my body. Like I love them. I love the sugar, the fresh natural sugar and the glucose that it's providing me with. And that's just what I go with for now. And it might change in the future. I'm experimenting, as I said. Also, I want to be very careful with fish and meat, because I got salmonella and campylobacter and typhoid fever and like incredible stupid little diseases from eating fish and meat, which was not good anymore. And also there's lots of nuances, right? So yeah, nothing good or bad, but it's also the addiction. Just I noticed an addiction within me to gluten, to industrial sugar, and to that's basically big ones. Like when I left those out and also caffeine. I try to leave out caffeine. I leave out caffeine for periods of time. Now I'm back into a little caffeine addiction period. But yeah. Kombucha, I love kombucha. I keep it out for now because that's kind of like a little bit more, I would say, strict. If you want to be a bit more strict, I leave out fermented foods. So anything fermented is basically a little bit processed, and I leave out at periods of times, not always and not strictly. Sometimes I do engage in fermented food, but I leave out fermented food even. So it's raw and natural. But yeah, when I left kind of like gluten and sugar behind and caffeine, like I felt horrible when I did my first cleanse. There's going to be a video coming soon about my first medical medium cleanse. I felt horrible. There were like, I could feel my body like scream, like, give me gluten, give me sugar, give me caffeine, I need it. I had such a crisis and felt like horrible emotions and was going through so much like psychological, emotional turmoil to let that go. And then after 1 or 2 weeks of filling my body up and actually eating good, fresh greens and fruits, I felt much better, like much lighter, much more aligned. So, and it's easy to trick ourselves, but especially as you do your spiritual practice and you get more aware, and you also you get in tune with your body, you get in tune with yourself. It's kind of like you can feel how certain foods are influencing your state of consciousness. Just if you're very aware, like, yeah, if you get really present with the experience of eating as well, you can see how the food is affecting your body and your mental state, on how sharp you are, how clear you are. So yeah, and then from that you can basically accumulate your own personal experience, and make some distinctions between like, okay, this like super spicy food with a lot of spices, or this super sugary food. What is it that makes it so pleasurable? Also, I feel like in our culture, for myself at least, growing up and until I changed my diet, like many of us are so overstimulated with all the sugar in all the processed foods and all the packaged foods, with all the additional like sweeteners and flavors and spices. Like sometimes I would make like a curry and I would add so many spices that it's incredible. It would burn away everything in your mouth. Not because it's hot spicy, because just like all kinds of things just as flavoring, with like so much flavoring that our taste buds are like numb to how the foods are actually tasting. And then if you make the switch, and especially if you make a radical switch, you might feel a little bit bored with like, oh, just a plain zucchini, a plain mushroom or whatever, without any salt, without any spices, without anything added to it. Isn't that boring? No, it's not. Because after you kind of get used to opening your numbness, reducing your numbness and opening your senses again, there's so much flavor in just a pure cucumber or an apple or a grape. It's like an explosion of taste. And when we take that overstimulation away from our diet and from our eating habits, then there's going to be a more like an expression and feeling of the sensations of the natural flavors of everything. But nothing against spices, you know. I love spices. Yeah, and diet is a very interesting thing. Mushrooms are like a living entity in and of themselves. It's crazy that we can eat them, you know. It's like a different entity. It's not a plant, and it's not an animal. It's a mushroom. It's a whole system within itself. Like it's the third big entity on Earth. The third big living intelligent entity. There's like animals and humans, and there's plants, and then there's mushrooms. It's incredible. And we can just eat them. I like to eat mushrooms. Yeah, they're good. I felt an addiction to maple syrup. I had an addiction to maple syrup as well. Or I have one. Not too much addicted, but it's so good when you can combine it with everything. You can even, like, I did some, like, even with the zucchini or some potato or some, what are they called? Like, I forgot. But with lots of vegetables, you can put maple syrup and a little bit of lemon juice on top, maybe a little bit of garlic as well. And it's such a good way of spicing things up. Our teens are saying whole food only. Yeah, that's ideal. They are a technology. Mushrooms are absolutely technology. DMT Dreams is saying, would love to have a DMT perfume. A DMT perfume? What? You can just make DMT yourself and just absolutely just burn it. I have a friend who just sometimes he said he goes to festivals and he just burns like grams or kilos of changa and just runs around. So everything is just like perfumed with DMT. But the crystal like DMT smell, I like it. It's not bad, but the changa smell I really love. Many people don't like the DMT smell, right? DMT perfume. Hans is saying, for me, psychedelics are the center. They are 100 times more than efficient than your daily meditation in terms of spiritual growth. Yes, but they're the center for what? So, yeah, check out the presentation I put out on Friday. It's going to be a really amazing presentation, because I absolutely agree with you. And I say that in the presentation as well in the course, that they are not just 100, but 1,000, 10,000 times more efficient and effective to reach a peak experience, a satori, a samadhi, an epiphany, a revelation, right? This awakening experience, absolutely way more effective than your daily meditation for spiritual growth. So to reach the absolute deepest depth of this infinity of God realization, to experience a sensation of oneness, and even take that into your life, it's absolutely, I would even call that also the centerpiece, kind of like, of my practice, to achieve these peak experiences. But what do you notice after a psychedelic experience? That state of grace and that state of awakening and that state of samadhi that you might have experienced. At least in my experience, I don't know how it is for you. But I come back out of the psychedelic space. There is a lingering sensation and a little bit of a shift in consciousness, for sure, that is permanent, that is staying, that is kind of like this little bit deeper integration of the spiritual realization on a day-to-day basis. But it's tiny. And many people experience things what are known as ego backlash. Or also they might fall into something like ego inflation. Ego inflation, ego backlash are terms that are very interesting and important for the psychedelic community especially. To develop a sense of elitism or exceptionalism and say these experiences are better than other experiences. Because when you come back from the psychedelic experience, what is your permanent plateau experience like? What does your integration look like? And that's the foundation, I would feel like, that because you can't be high all the time. Well, you can, kind of, you can try. That's what some people are into, like get all of us into a permanent DMT breakthrough state of consciousness all the time. There's crazy people who are like advertising that. But coming back to our humanness, there's a sense of an ascent of the journey towards deeper and deeper realization and deeper and deeper peak experiences. But also there's a journey of descent, of actually becoming more human, of actually also appreciating the ordinary as a spiritual practice, as spiritual growth. So for a peak experience, for sure, psychedelics are nothing less than magical and way more effective than meditation. You would have to do long meditation retreats, darkness retreats, go into deep practice, dedicate almost your whole life or several lifetimes to it to experience the state of realization that is possible with a breakthrough 5-MeO DMT experience. I do believe that as well. And so in that sense, there's such great value in the temporary peak experience. But what are you going to fall back on? What is your daily practice like? Don't do the... I would at least recommend not to fall into spiritual bypassing and say you're neglecting your human problems, your emotional development and intelligence, your relational and your relationships, your relational kind of development, your psychological development, in order to just achieve deeper and deeper states of peak experiences and realization. But there's a necessity for integration. And I have found that the meditation as a centerpiece, or to have it's not a meditation. Meditation is also not just these 20 minutes that you're sitting each day, or 30 minutes, or 1 hour. But it's your life, it's meditation in action. There's nothing separate. So to try to bring that state of realization into your day-to-day life, that's the centerpiece. So And I feel they just like, they synergize perfectly. To even say like, okay, actually, which is the conclusion I've come to. It's that everything is a spiritual practice. And also nothing is, you know, because when we hear, at least like that's the foundation of my spiritual understanding at the moment, which might be limited or incomplete, but there is a certain wholeness and completeness and perfection in each and every moment. That's the core recognition in psychedelic space or outside of psychedelic space. Then there is a certain sense of detachment in my practice. So detaching from any appearance, from any experience, that has a beginning and end in time is not it. It can't be. Because that which we're talking about, the ineffable, you know, it doesn't have a beginning or end in time. So a psychedelic experience, you know, if you say this is it and then something that is outside of the psychedelic experience is not it anymore, there is a sense of attachment. There's a sense of judgment coming in. Of this is better than this. And there's a certain sense of seeking. So when everything is already perfected and whole and complete as it is, and there is a certain sense of detachment from all appearances and all experiences, I would even say another layer of this is to go and appreciate and love all appearances with this sense of detachment that is surrounded by it. There is a love and an appreciation for each and every appearance of consciousness. May it be psychedelic or ordinary. May it be washing your dishes or being in a 5-MeO DMT breakthrough experience or meeting the Mushroom Lord. And then there is no seeking anymore. This is kind of like the natural consequence of that detached, selfless, appreciative state of wholeness. There's no seeking. We're not trying to get anywhere through anything. But we are so in that sense, I see psychedelics like a spiritual practice, just as much as every other moment of life is. That we go into psychedelic space and we see, are we distracted? Are we attached? Or can we actually stay in that state of realization and not be distracted by the fireworks that are coming and going, by the phenomenal display and distraction that is happening? If it's an anaconda eating us, the snake passing by, the jaguar sneaking through the jungle, the UFO alien adopting us and doing some brain surgery, or if it is not being in the psychedelic experience, but we stay and say like, okay, how much can I, like, who is experiencing it? What we're asking ourselves is, who am I? What is this? What is that which is witnessing that? Because the witness, it doesn't come and go. It's not in the psychedelic experience and then it's all of a sudden not anymore. It doesn't have a beginning and end. And then the ultimate is that which goes beyond, you know, the absolute, what we might call nothingness or Parabrahman. But that is beyond the realm of appearances altogether, right? And we're here. This is it. So in that sense, then the psychedelic experience is not better or worse for anything. But it, as I like to say, it's going to be one of my main phrases in new videos, I think. It recently just came to it, or it came to me, that then when we do that and we stay in that detached, selfless state of unconditional appreciation for every appearance of consciousness, we're free. And then the psychedelic experience is not a means to an end, but an end in and of itself. Just as meditation is. Right? We are not meditating towards anything. So remember that, as Dogen Zenji wrote, our practice is our realization. You know, when we truly do Zazen, there is no distinction between practice and realization. So when we do psychedelic experiences, there is no distinction between practice and realization. But the trap and the danger of psychedelic space then is that we trick ourselves, we fall into the trap and the illusion to think that psychedelic space is somehow more realized than ordinary consciousness. This is the great danger of psychedelic practice. We are falling into the illusion and judge our ordinary state of consciousness as something which is not it. We say this is not it, but psychedelic space is it. You see how that leads into ignorance again, how that clouds our field of clarity and perception and realization. And it's wonderfully designed, because then there is an attachment to the peak experience, which might seem so much more enlightened than ordinary state consciousness, which is then keeping us in this illusion, attached to a higher, or dependent on a higher state of consciousness, on a substance-induced state of consciousness, which seems to be closer to the truth than another experience, which is not substance-induced. So I just want to point out that to be very careful with this and with psychedelic practice. And that is not to say that psychedelics are not valuable. I love to go into psychedelic space. And this is what the whole presentation, which is going to launch on Friday, is about, is embracing the paradox. It brings us to paradox. Because it does seem like psychedelic space brings us to closer states of awakening or truth. I might call them truth-revealing experiences. They bring us, or reveal, or let us empty ourselves to a point where we are merging with that oneness. We become aware of that witness. We come to an embodied realization to the answer of the question of who am I? What the Upanishads call Tat Svam Asi. Thou art that. You are Godhead. You are divine. You know, we come to a recognition and a remembrance of that truth. Absolute wonderful tools, I guess, to help us remember. But then the practice is to keep that remembrance in each and every moment. And for that, obviously, we can go back to psychedelic space over and over again. Nothing against it. But not to depend on it, not to attach to it, not to judge it as better or worse. But just to, if you feel the calling, to go in. As an end in and of itself, but not as a means to an end. I hope that makes any sense to you. But that's the point that I wanted to get across. Artine saying, mushrooms are crazy, they just grow out of nothing. Yeah, there's this whole mycelium network, it's insane. DMT Dreams is saying, I like both. I think you were referring to the DMT smell. Oh, Lickhead. Good to see you here. Beautiful, fun little profile picture. Which anime is that? Is that an anime? Is that, or is it just like an animation of yourself? Looks cute. Hi, I will be taking my first heroic dose of GMF next week. I'm super excited. I've done shrooms a month before, roughly 3 grams, and it was a heavenly experience. I was thinking about mixing shrooms with THC for better effects. How do I do it safely? Wow, that is a broad question. Again, I always feel very uncomfortable with giving advice, so I can't give you any advice. That's why I'm starting the community, guys. The community platform, so we can actually tap into a deeper conversation with each other face to face, and I can get more into the coaching space of letting you come to your own realizations and conclusions, because advice is a very nuanced thing, you know. So I'll just share my thoughts, whatever is coming up for me in the moment. First of all, wow, sounds like a wonderful decision to take your first heroic dose. All the best. If you feel that calling, and it's a strong calling, it's a deep internal conviction and commitment to that experience, then I wish you all the best. Go for it. Like, it's gonna be incredible. It may be intense, it may be not so intense. I've had a heroic dose 5-gram mushroom experiences which were less intense than 3-gram trips, but also 3-gram trips which were less intense than 5-gram trips. So what I have observed and recognized with my journey with the mushrooms is that I shall not have any expectations. Letting go of expectations is a crucial part of this work and of my own practice. To not say like, okay, I have done 3 grams and it was a heavenly experience, so now in my heroic dose experience it's gonna be a similar experience, it's gonna be also a heavenly experience. No. This expectation can lead to a rough time in the experience. It might be a heavenly experience, it might even be more heavenly, but also it might not. It might be very dark, it might be very confusing, it might be very intense in a different sort of sense. Weird, alien. So I like to have no expectations. It's very difficult to do, but it's a practice. You can set some intentions and kind of like be clear on your why, of why you're going into the experience, or what your what your approach towards that experience is. But I would say, especially as soon as the experience starts after ingesting the mushrooms, to let go of all expectation and then surrender and let go into whatever is emerging in the experience. So excited is a good thing, absolutely. And yeah, but no expectations. It might not be heavenly, but it also might be heavenly. It might be totally different from your 3-gram experience. Each and every experience is unique in and of itself. What I've learned on my journey is just this recognition to be ready to be humbled. To never expect to know or tell myself that I know what will happen in the experience. Even though I've had a couple 5-gram experience, I might not know. I definitely do not know what will come up in the next. So cultivating a certain sense of humility within yourself to say like, okay, I open myself to the unknown without any expectation. Also, just on a side note, that if you have done 3 grams before, I don't know how many experiences you've had. But just from my experience, I went into my first mushroom experience with 5 grams in silent darkness, and I was 16 and I was not prepared. It was one of my first psychedelic experiences. It was absolutely insane and I was not prepared for it. And after that, my approach has been to go slowly. I know how it can sound, like I want to be heroic. I want to, like, yeah, I feel the calling. I can handle it. But I have come to an appreciation of the more careful and slow approach and gradual approach towards psychedelic experiences. So after that, I took like 2, 3, 4 grams, and I stayed at these levels. I took 2 grams again, and 3 grams again, 3 to 4 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams, 3 grams, and I accumulated more experience in the 3 to 4 gram realm before I tapped into the 5 gram realm again. Because it might be like a different level of intensity. So just make a note and be aware that it might take you a level deeper. There's, for each individual, that threshold is different. What we might call a low dose might be a medium dose for another person, because he's a very sensitive person. Or you might be a not so sensitive person and have a, yeah, so it's a bit of a tricky field. But for me, for example, also, 1 8 gram experience I had was a completely different ball game than the 5 gram experience. Completely different ball game. So 3 to 5 is a big jump. This is what I want to say, just to be aware of that. Regarding the THC and mixing shrooms with THC, I don't know if it will give better effects and how to do it safely, because I can't predict any reactions that you might have on your journey. In my beginning journeys, I combined THC with mushrooms. In my experience, personally, it intensifies the experience. So after an hour after ingestion, like you can feel the come on. But if you're like, only if you're up for it, it intensifies it. I find great pleasure nowadays in just having the pure psilocybin experience, not mixing it with anything, just staying, it's intense enough as it is, just the pure psilocybin. So there's no need to actually add another substance on top of that. But also I have done many journeys in the past where I did combine mushrooms and cannabis, and I have found it to be a very wonderful combination. So after ingestion, like 1 or 2 hours, I can feel it coming up. I smoked a big joint and took a lot of THC, and then it really took me out. It really started the trip. And then throughout the trip and towards the end also, I kept smoking at certain periods throughout the trip, and I have always found it a very enjoyable experience. But also, to be aware, I have heard stories from friends and from other people who say that definitely, well, mushrooms in and of itself are tricky and a bit like, they have the good potential to get you into loopy land and loop around space. And the cannabis may open up the possibility to a greater extent for you to fall into loopland and to get stuck in thought loops, or just direct it in a direction where it might be a little bit more challenging or difficult to navigate for you personally. That's just stories I've heard and reference experiences from friends and people I know. So cannabis has always the potential to intensify and to also make the experience a bit more tricky to navigate. But also, as I said, there's these other experiences in my personal observations and my experiences, and in experiences from other friends who say like it's a wonderful combination. I think Terence also said it's a match made in heaven, and it really synergizes well with each other. And I feel that But yeah, how to do it safely? There's no guarantees. You gotta, it definitely, it just increases the risk, but also there's no guarantees. Nobody can guarantee you to do it safely. I don't even know what that means. There's always a certain sense. Just take responsibility and be ready for whatever is emerging in the experience, I would say. And then open yourself up to that because you signed up for it. Remember, you signed up for that experience. And then the only way out is through. The only way out is through. So no way, better surrender to the experience. So that's just some thoughts. Hope that was kind of helpful. DMT Dreams is saying, would love to try salvia. Careful what you wish for, but it might be a very interesting experience. I feel called to do it as well. I might actually, maybe 2025 is the year for me to go back into salvia space again. Maybe even just carefully and explore like a little bit of the lower dosages. Of the salvia, but also on higher ones. I'm really curious. Artine saying, why would YouTube demonetize such a channel? Is there any way to dispute it? Yeah, I could. But then I would have to delete and never publish psychedelic stuff again, basically. That's what they're saying. I think especially what they don't like is me displaying how I do drugs. So I film myself actually in the act of smoking DMT. I think they don't like smoke especially, or eating the mushrooms, or ingesting the LSD, and that's not allowed. So that's why they're demonetized. So I would have to delete and censor everything, at least everything where I consume the actual psychedelics. And then also they don't like me just to talk about it. I think that's less so, but even just some live streams or experiences where I just talk about these experiences, I use the words. They get censored, they get demonetized. It's a bit sad, but yeah, that's why they do it. I don't know. Protecting our society. It's funny. You should come to what I said in the beginning. The name of this live stream, close-mindedness, makes me want to throw up. I had this experience. It was today. I went to a theater, cinema, movie, and there were a couple friends of friends, and always when I just interact with people, they ask like first typical questions like, "What do you do?" So I talk about psychedelics because all I do has kind of something to do with psychedelics, and it's always a very interesting conversation. And usually in my day-to-day, I don't interact with like normal people too much, but just with insane, crazy people like you guys. And I forget sometimes how there's still like people who have this kind of like close-minded approach towards life and who do not know anything about psychedelics at all. They don't know what it is. They have never heard about it. They have never heard the words LSD, mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca, 5-MeO, DMT, psychedelic itself. But there's people out there who are actually in their minds. Like, it's so fascinating for me. Like, I'm curious how that even works. Like, I can't possibly understand it from my current state of consciousness. Their mind is like, it's hard to describe, but I saw in this conversation today just like pure closed-mindedness. There is it's fascinating. First of all, there is not a knowledge around the thing, or the not a recognition or knowledge or experience base or around this topic of psychedelics, plant medicine, or however you want to call it. So they don't know anything about it. Anything. but it literally just falls in their mind under a category which is called drugs. So okay, DMT, changa, it's like ayahuasca, that's a drug. So okay, everything that is substance-induced experience outside of alcohol and nicotine and caffeine, I don't know, and sugar, is a drug. So and that word is even very interesting. I do not know and understand what that means in their mind. And then that category, drug, is just like, there's then a distinction in their mind to say like, okay, there are good things in life and there are bad things in life. And the law, the government, and our law, and yeah, that's it basically. The law is saying that drugs in this area that are not allowed are bad. So that's their mind, and then that's set. There's not an interest, not a curiosity, not an inspiration to question that. There's just like, that's set in stone. This is what it is. All these substances that you're talking about are drugs, and drugs are bad, and because they're not allowed, so it's dangerous. And it's a good experience for me, to talk to these people, because sometimes I forget that they exist. And this closed-mindedness, like this, literally, there's no opening, there's no questioning about this. Because whatever the law or the government or an expert or whoever is saying that, right? My parents, maybe. Whoever's saying it, that's set in stone. And then there is this, what nags me about it, like I had a visceral physical reaction to it. Like it really made me sick to my stomach. I had stomach cramps and a physical reaction to it. Because it's, especially because this was now an extreme case, because it was not based on personal experience. If it's actual on personal direct experience and a knowledge base around the subject of that we're talking about, then I'm like, okay, let's engage in a conversation. But there's literally no knowledge around it. There's nothing, like not even a knowing on what it is or what it does. Nothing. No knowledge. But still a very strong opinion that is set in stone and that is not going to be questioned because it's approved by authority. Like, what is going on? Like, I can't understand it. I can't possibly understand it. And my reaction was this, like, well, I don't want to judge, it's like, I do not want to judge. I want to recognize the divine nature and the purity and the beauty of consciousness and awareness in the other. I want to meet everyone humbly, and I want to recognize them as my teacher. I don't want to put myself above anybody else or below anybody else. We are all even, all one, all right in our own sense. But still, for my mind, it was very difficult, and still is. Like, it was an insane experience to see that not just this one person, but many people, many human beings walking around this earth feel a similar way. They hold strong opinions around subjects which they do not know anything about. Anything. There's no sense of questioning reality. That was the beginning of my whole philosophical quest. It started with asking questions. It started with questioning systems that are put in place, stories that I was told, questioning authority. What is authority? Putting the responsibility to understand reality onto myself and to actually engage in personal direct experience with with certain areas, and otherwise be very aware that be open-minded. Be open-minded. That's the foundation for everything. To be open, at least open-minded, to consider and be interested and curious about perspective. Because reality is nothing but perspective. There, a certain sense of closed-mindedness and belief helps us to strengthen our identity and personality and helps us function in life. Okay. If you're going to be questioning everything all the time, it's not feasible. It's not sustainable. So we got to have a certain sense of a stable illusion and close ourselves up to a certain extent. But the foundation is open-mindedness. So yeah, I was shocked, as you can maybe tell by that experience of then coming face to face and interacting with this sense of closed-mindedness, because there's nowhere where the conversation can go. It's a dead end. Like it's hopeless almost. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's such a disalignment of perspective that there could be no further communication happening. Yeah, so that was very interesting for me to see that there's still people like that out there that hold this perspective. And I guess it's a good reminder that many people still do. You know, what I talk about here on this channel and the work of psychedelic actualization, it's speaking to people like you who are already open-minded, who are already a little bit aware around this subject and maybe even have a little bit of experience, but at least are curious and open around it, or have personal direct experience and then come to their own conclusions based on their observations. But yeah, shocking experience. Made me it was so interesting for me. I felt so good, like, and then I had this encounter, and I literally I wanted to throw up, like after this conversation. I had a physical reaction of wanting to throw up. Interesting. And I guess it's because like it speaks almost like against my highest value. My highest value is truth. Seeking truth, recognizing truth, inquiring into truth, being honest, authentic. And closed-mindedness is almost like it's the opposite. It's a deep construction of, or like holding on to falsehood. It's even a neglection and judgment of the willingness to be open to inquire into truth. There's no interest in truth, and this is what kind of like I think has made me physically react. Because anything that is not aligned with truth makes me actually physically sick. I can't lie anymore, for example. If I speak a lie, it haunts me forever until I tell the truth. It's horrible. And then I have to forgive myself at times. I don't lie anymore, and rarely, like not at all. But when I do, on these rare occasions where sometimes, I don't know, a homeless person is asking if I have money and I just don't want to engage in conversation. So that happened a couple of days ago, actually. A youngster, a teen, was asking me very, with a lot of pressure for money, and said, "How much money do you have?" And I had like 40 euros, and I said 2. It haunts me till today. I have to forgive myself actively now. I want to meet that teen again and say like, "Sorry, man, I lied to you. I actually had 40 euros. So even that is haunting me for like ever, and it made me physically sick afterwards. I can't do it because it's not aligned with truth. And so closed-mindedness, it seems to be like a not wanting to align with truth even. And that makes me Like, I can't understand it. It just doesn't land for me. Okay. Yeah, I want to catch up on your comments. There's Bio1, DMT Dream, Spanky, D Jordan. Like, hello everybody. God. Salvia, Eminem. Wow. Thank you all for being here. I come to your comments soon. Like, stay tuned. Stay tuned. But I want to start from the beginning. Nano is saying, our brains out-melded to a higher organism, the transcendental object. The Pardoyo son, Lighead, do it. Please do it. I probably might write a trip report later. Yes, write a trip report and share it with us. Ideally in our community. The Psychedelic Actualization Community is going to be opening soon, and there's going to be a whole section for intense, cool trip reports. Otherwise, come and join the live stream or just comment on any of my videos, your trip report. I would love to know. Like, I'm genuinely curious on how your experience is going. Like, come back and tell me, share. I would love to know. Terrence was right. I didn't know it until I did it, my love. Everyone is particularly special. True hallucinations. Yeah, I love washing the dishes. Washing the dishes is such a meditation. It's such a good one. Nano saying, there is a mission to discipline our bodies while we are here. You're totally right. Okay. I think this was referring to a long time ago in the stream. Sorry, I got a bit hung up on my stories. M&M is saying, I agreed about closed-mindedness. Do you realize that Steven Seagal still doesn't have an Oscar? I hate closed-mindedness. I'm sorry, but I don't know who Steven Seagal is, but I'm also really bad with names. Okay, now I recognize. I googled. Okay, yeah. I'll have to look deeper into him. Thanks for sharing that name. But then our hatred towards closed-mindedness is us being closed-minded, isn't it? That's why I kind of like almost felt like a double reaction. I don't want to judge closed-mindedness. That's the tricky part, you know. I don't want to think that my open-mindedness is better than closed-mindedness. I don't want to hate anything in reality. I want to recognize and appreciate the beauty of a closed-minded mind. I want to recognize and appreciate and explore and see this mechanism playing out. I don't want to judge it. I don't want to try to change it. Well, I do kind of, like, on a relative personal level, but on the higher level, I just want to, I'm curious and just like seeing that mind do its thing. So I don't want to hate anything in reality, even if it's closed-mindedness. And I don't want to be closed-minded towards closed-mindedness, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing. But I want to refrain from judgment, if that makes sense. Because if I indulge in judgment again, I fall into, we might say, a lower state of consciousness, a lower perspective. Again, a more dense, tense, false perspective or ignorant perspective. And even might fall into what we might call like ego inflation. To say like, okay, my ego is better than this ego because it's open-minded. Very interesting topic. But still, yeah, I had a reaction to it. God. Hello, God. Good night. Glad you're joining our live stream, God. Nice name. Salvia saying, yeah, DMT dreams you should. God, thank you for being here. D Jordan, sensitivity varies depending upon the individual. I've had positive effects with that combination. Do you believe in microdosing psilocybin? Thanks for engaging in the conversation with our other Livestream members. I deeply appreciate it. All of you kind of communicating together. Spanky's saying just microdose. Nice. Yeah, it's a very broad question. Do you believe in microdosing psilocybin? I don't believe in anything, I would say. I haven't thoroughly explored microdosing. So I can't say too much about it. I guess there's like two different approaches to microdosing that I'm observing at the moment in all of our conversations. One is the definition of microdosing of consuming a sub-perceptual dose. So a dose which is absolutely not occurring in your perception. You don't feel a difference really in your state of consciousness. You're not tripping. You're not really feeling the psilocybin or LSD or whatever you choose to microdose, but there might be an overarching bigger picture change or effect in your life. And I've tried that, just like take tiny doses, microdoses, which you do not even feel anything from. So maybe even below 0.1 grams or whatever. It's like very, very little. And for me then I did this and I didn't see a point in it. I couldn't really say if my consciousness was improving or changing from these like sub-perceptual doses from which I literally didn't feel anything. And I did it over a longer period of time and I stopped it because I didn't feel anything. It didn't change anything. There's so many factors in our life that can change our mood from better to worse, or we get into our peak experiences, valley experiences. There's ups and downs. You're traveling, a relationship breaks apart, you're changing your job. Like so much stuff is going on that like I didn't even notice I couldn't trace anything back to the microdoses of the psilocybin. So that's one approach, which I don't really, I prefer the macro doses. Just go into a real experience and have like a proper dose and see what happens. I had one experience where I started microdosing and then after a couple of days I threw up. And I threw up like several days in a row, which was interesting. Then I stopped it again. I was like, okay, my body doesn't doesn't want to microdose anymore. And then there's this second approach to microdosing, which I guess is going beyond the sub-perceptual dose and consume a dose which is still very low, maybe even a tiny dose, but not a microdose, which is on a sub-perceptual level, but on a dose where you do feel something, but you can still completely interact with life and in your day-to-day. So you might take less than a gram, like half a gram maybe, of mushrooms. That's not a microdose, like that's or 0.2 gram. You might feel something from that. There's a shift happening, but you can still function. You can maybe still go about your day. I haven't tried that too much. I want to try that, but that seems to be for many people kind of like working. They're working on creative projects and they're taking this like little bit more than a microdose. And I guess your question might also ask towards the sensation of like, okay, do I believe in microdosing, that it's actually doing anything? And it's a very interesting question. Some people say in the scientific kind of like realm that yes, it actually is doing something scientifically. It's improving like neuroplasticity or whatever, and it's having there's like studies going on of like, okay, can we actually like measure changes and positive benefits from microdosing in people, or is it just a placebo? Is it actually not doing anything? I guess inevitably it is doing something because you're connecting with the plant, you're connecting with the mushroom, you're ingesting it into your system, you have it there, but the changes might be so tiny. That's why I'm not microdosing, for example. I've tried it a couple of times and I'm personally not microdosing because I don't see the point. Like for me, it doesn't do anything. I don't believe in it really for myself. And I don't prefer these like tiny bits and pieces of experiences. I prefer macro experiences. So for me, just personally, in my experience, I feel that microdosing for many people might be a little bit there's an overemphasis on the benefits of microdosing. I see it in many companies. They're emphasizing like, okay, microdosing for better performance in your career. It's like the whole like movement of improving like CEOs with microdosing, and there's microdosing protocols and this and that and how to do it, and it's interesting. It's not my cup of tea. It's I might explore it further and try again and again and again in the future. But yeah, I don't believe in it for myself. I don't see the benefit in it for myself. But that might change, you know, and also that might be different for you. You might feel difference. You might feel if it's actual physical like reactions in your system, or you connecting with the spirit of the psilocybin, or if it's actual just a placebo and you see positive changes in your life and you connect that to the microdosing, then by all means go for it. Like keep doing it. If it really connects with you and helps you and you believe in it, then nothing wrong with it. Like nothing wrong to digest a little bit of mushrooms every day. So yeah, that's kind of like a few words on microdosing. But I haven't had too many experiences with it, so my knowledge base is very, very limited. But also it's not calling me. It's not really calling me. I feel very happy on a day-to-day basis. Like, yeah. Or I'm in an existential crisis. Depends on the week. DMT Dreams is saying, the reality is that not only are psychedelics not bad, as they are stigmatized to be, but they are actually 180 degrees opposite. They're not just neutral, they're amazing, and they're very important. I agree, and also there's nuance. Like as I said, check in on Friday on the video. Check in on Friday. It's a 3-hour long presentation around it. Because it's a very interesting field, psychedelics. I also feel like we gotta be a little bit balanced in our approach, and be careful not to bring this pendulum from the one extreme of stigmatizing psychedelics and actually promoting them as the most horrible drugs ever existed, to the overemphasis of the pendulum on the other side of saying they're amazing, they're healing every state of mental illness, and they're the magic pill for everything. No, that's also not the case. There's many dangers, nuances, traps of this work, so I would like to not swing the pendulum from one extreme to the next, but stay centered. Not to say they're neutral. I find them absolutely amazing, I agree. But to present a perspective that is integrative, holistic, mature, responsible, in the middle ground, the middle way, recognize and appreciate and acknowledge the dangers and the lack of integration or preparation that can come with this work, and the dangers of and pitfalls that are coming with engaging in psychedelic space. So keep the perspective balanced. But yeah, Bio1 is saying, I'm not closed-minded, I'm just putting extra warnings. Coming from over 6 years of tripping on and off, I just want people to be safe. There's some who just openly worship the drug without talk of safety. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you for sharing. And I appreciate that, because that's exactly not closed-mindedness. What I was saying and appreciating is that closed-mindedness is coming from a perspective which is lacking direct experience. So your comment is speaking to this and saying it comes from your own experience. And I feel strongly a similar way, that I also want people to be safe, because I have been in situations which were not safe. I have heard stories of people who were not safe in psychedelic experiences and caused by the psychedelic states of consciousness, bringing themselves or others into a dangerous situation, life-threatening situation, either physically, emotionally, mentally, you know. There is actual physically, like spiritually, there's actual dangers and traps and lack of safety and risk. So absolutely agree with what you're saying here, that there are, we want to approach this conversation in a balanced way and say like, okay, they're not bad. They're not the devil's work, these psychedelics. Maybe they are, who knows, but I strongly feel against that. But also they're not the magic pill. They're not just solving all your problems just because you eat a couple mushrooms and your life is going to be amazing forever. No, that's not the case. Or you're going to be safe forever. There's actual like dangers in this work, and not every mind is ready for this experience. So I imagine if I would kind of, I don't know, this closed-minded person that I met today would have an experience of 5 grams of mushrooms, I don't know if this would change her life for the better. Maybe not. So yeah. Bio1 is saying, but weed, I suspect long-term they are in denial. Okay. DMT Dreams is saying, there's no distinction really between drugs and, for example, television, reading, tabloid magazines, getting addicted to pornography, getting addicted to the internet, or getting addicted to greasy food. To me, all this stuff is just addiction with different degrees of it. Yeah. I agree. Because it's funny. I think Dennis McKenna talks about this a lot. Of like, what is a drug? Like, what is something like? Yeah, what are we falling into with the addiction? It's everything is changing our brain chemistry all the time. This zucchini maybe less so than a psychedelic. But the television and the engagement with pornography it's literally changing our brain chemistry. Is flooding ourselves with dopamine. The dopamine hits we get from like Instagram reels is insane. Or the television or the reading or like whatever it is, like it's all changing our brain chemistry. So it's all a drug, and we can get addicted to certain things, but this addiction is it's this dependency on something. So if we might go to the root, we come again to this topic of detaching, not attaching to anything, not seeking anything. And I recognize this tendency to be addicted to certain things as well. I guess it's a very natural human phenomena in these times. But also, it's good to dissolve and transcend these distinctions. That television is as much of a drug as psychedelics are. And my drug of choice is a psychedelic and not a television. Bio1 is saying, I think you want to say an addict with too many things, so take my bias into account. Yes, salvia is pretty much the safe option for me. If I buy a lot or any amount at a time, I know it will... I can't read that. Salvia, I seem to really want to do it. Maybe DMT is like that. I haven't tried DMT yet. You've tried salvia, but not DMT. Interesting. It's very similar. Maybe from intensity, you could say it might be on a similar degree, but I feel like it's a totally different experience. Like, just from my one salvia experience, I felt it's a vastly different realm. That the salvia is coming into. Okay, guys, I'm getting tired. If there's any more questions, comments, like, bring them on. I'm ready here. I'm here for you. Otherwise, check out the community. Like, there is a link in the video description. The first link It's a booking page where you can book a free one-on-one call with me. If you're curious about joining the Psychedelic Actualization Community, book a call with me. I'm looking for 5 founding members of that community who get a vastly reduced price before anyone else who's joining. We're going to have weekly live calls where we actually come together and we work with what is present face to face through Zoom meetings. And we do some live coaching, we do some connection, we work with each other in more contact than these live streams. And also there's going to be a little bit of exclusive content, the live trips that I can't upload here. And many more fun things like challenges and a leaderboard and discussion areas. Lots of great things are coming in this community. I'm so excited about this. Otherwise, stay tuned. Next Friday, there's going to be a big psychedelic course coming, which I'm going to publish for free. It's called Psychedelics Are Not a Magic Pill. The "not" is in brackets. So excited for this. So excited and so happy that you are going to be blessed with this presentation. Lots of it we kind of discussed and went over here in this live stream today. This is a lot of what my perspective is resolving around at the moment. Otherwise, what else is going on? See, my mind is emptying. Thank you for all your participation. Thank you for all your presence today. I love hanging out with you. Deeply appreciate it. There's probably going to be a next live stream next week. I try to do it on Sundays. Might be another day. Yeah, let's sing a song. Also, I wanted to share in the beginning, but I haven't even come around to it. I watched an anime in the cinema today, and it's called Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell. The animation movie from 1995. Highly recommend. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I've watched it a couple times now. It's so good. If you like animation movies or not, just try to see and appreciate the beauty of it. It's a visionary work of art, I would say. It's deeply, like, it's astonishing how present it is and how close to our actual reality it is right now. It's about AI and the World Wide Web and like cyborgs, and it's and then also deeply philosophical, just speaking to our humanity. What does it mean to be human? Where is the distinction between humans and robots, and how a world can look like where they live together? And it's like so visionary to keep in mind that this story was written in like let me check it out. I think 1980s. The movie is from 1995. But the story was written a little bit earlier. It was written 1989, I think, or even further back. Well, yeah, 1989, and to keep that in mind while you're watching this show. That the stories was written almost like close after the internet went live. It's incredible. Like, it's incredibly visionary work. I want to share a couple quotes maybe towards the end of this video now. From that, I love that one. There was one character, he said, "That's all it is, information. Even a simulated experience or a dream is simultaneously reality and illusion. Any way you look at it, all the information that a person accumulates in a lifetime is just a drop in the bucket." Interesting, right? Another quote is, all things change in a dynamic environment. Your effort to remain what you are is what limits you. So fascinating. What else? Man is an individual only because of his intangible memory, but memory cannot be defined, yet it defines mankind. Another character said, and can you offer me proof of your existence? It's a lot about existence. What does it mean to be alive? How can you, when neither modern science nor philosophy can explain what life is? I love this work of art. It's a classic one. Highly recommended for every one of you to watch that thing. Ghost in the Shell from 1995. Yeah, incredible work of art. And also very psychedelic, you know, especially if you're into spirituality and psychedelic. A movie and immersing yourself in a movie and really being drawn into the story and the animations and the presentation. It's like a psychedelic experience, and when you fully let go of yourself and you tap into this space of selflessness and you become one with the experience of the movie, it's no different than a psychedelic experience. And after that, you can integrate that experience. You can prepare for it. You can be very present and meditative and connect with the witness in that experience of watching the movie. And then you can integrate the lessons, insights, realizations, the thought processes that it put into motion in your life, and actually transform also these insights into actual lasting change and transformation, which many people are not doing, myself included. Right? It's that same mission that I have with the Psychedelic Actualization Coaching and Community, which is to transform psychedelic insights into lasting change. To transform psychedelic insights into lasting change. A movie, an insight from a movie is exactly the same as a movie from as an insight from a psychedelic experience. You can take it and actually integrate it into your life. That's why I love animated movie and movies in general. There's some very few. I find very few anime and very few shows. Shows I don't even watch, but very few anime shows as well, which are really good. But a few, if I come across one that is like it's such an enjoyable experience. I love it so much. So okay, I want to end with a song. We began with Ganesha. What are we gonna end with? Also Ganesha, but another one? Okay, let's stay with Ganesha today. Ganesha. This mantra means I seek refuge in Ganesh. Ganesh is this like Hindu deity, god with the head of an elephant, standing for power, overcoming obstacles, for new beginnings, for trust in yourself. Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha Ganesha Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Sharanam Ganesha, Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ganesha. Yeah, everybody, you have a new beginning, great new beginnings for your life after this live stream. Wishing you all the best. Enjoy your day. Appreciate your life. Appreciate your life. This is the core practice. At least from my current point of view, the core practice, it has to be to appreciate your life. This is what it's about. Everything. This precious, precious, precious life. When we actualize our realization of the wholeness of life, then our daily life itself is nirvana. In fact, the words like realization or actualization are no longer necessary, for they are schemes and devices that we no longer need. Of course, we can't just jump into this actualization. This is why our practice advances little by little, though in a sense there is no little by little. And yet, even though we are the way, we don't know it. Even though our life is already realized, we don't see it as such. How is our life in this realization? Just as we are, just as you are, just as everything is. How can we appreciate our life in this way? This is a very basic issue of our practice. I want to leave it at that. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Namaste. I bow to that divine essence that is within you. Satnam lessons recognize that truth is the name. Yeah. Bye.